Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel from Evelyn and Peter, and today I have this crochet cardigan to share with you guys. I am so happy with how this one turned out. It's got to be probably one of my new favorite designs that I've done. You can find the free pattern on my blog, EvelynAndPeter.com. It is available as a kit with Lion Brand, and the kit comes with all the yarn you need to make your cardigan, plus a free copy of the digital download. If you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, you can go ahead to my blog, just pop in your email, and then I will let you guys know whenever I have new releases coming out. I only send out one, maybe two newsletters a month. All of the exact yardage and information you need for this design is on my blog. I am making the size small medium in this video, but I always recommend pulling that up and following along as you go so you can check your stitch counts and your row counts and just make sure you are on track. It's also available on my Etsy and Ravelry shop, and I will link to everything in the description for you, or you can click the little link to my blog. Let's see a little bit about the pattern. So it's worked from the bottom up in separate panels. You have a left front panel and a right front panel, so just make sure that you are watching those instructions on my blog, and then you'll also work two sleeve panels and join that in, and then work the trim and add in the buttons. It has a really fun stitch repeat and a really fun lacy texture. And once you get those 4 rows memorized, it's pretty quick to work up as well. So I really hope you guys like this one. It's super fun to make, and thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time. So for this project, you're going to need lightweight yarn. I'm using Lion Brand's Kobu yarn. This is in the color Plume. All of the exact yardage for all of the sizes is provided on my blog, so you can head there and see exactly how many skeins or yards that you need for your size. They also have a ton of pretty colors to choose from as well. If you get the kit, you can sub out for your preferred color. We're going to be using a 4mm hook size, a pair of scissors, you'll need a needle to weave in your ends, a couple of stitch markers, and then a measuring tape as well. So you're going to want to begin with the back panel. All of the panels start off the same way, so if you need to, you can come back and rewatch this portion to see the first handful of rows, which will be our row repeats that we do. So you can begin with the slip knot, and then we're just going to start off with a starting chain. So just yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Each size is going to have a different starting chain length, so just find the chain amount for your size in the written pattern, and then go ahead and work up that chain to begin. Okay, once you have the correct amount of chains for your size for the back panel, we're going to begin row 1. So we are going to locate that 5th chain from the hook. So count over, and in that very 5th chain, you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the back bump, and then yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we're just working a double crochet stitch into the 5th chain from the hook, and those skipped chains there at the beginning also count as a double crochet. So we have technically 2 double crochets here, and then we're going to work our 3rd double crochet into the chain directly after that. So we have our 3 double crochet stitches because that chain counts as 1. And now we're just going to chain 3 and then skip over the next 3 chains and then work a double crochet into the chain after that. So again, just yarn over, and in that back bump, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to work 2 more double crochet. So in the next chain, work your 2nd double crochet. And then in the chain right after that one, work your 3rd double crochet. And we're just going to repeat this across the row. So now we're going to chain 3, skip 3, and then 3 double crochet. And you can just repeat this all the way to the end. Okay, so now we have reached the end of the row. You should have finished with 3 double crochet in those last 3 chains. And now we're going to begin row 2. So you can go ahead and chain 3, and this chain 3 does count as a stitch. So this counts as 1 double crochet. Because this one counts as a stitch, we're not going to be working any stitches into that first stitch of the row. We're going to be working a front post double crochet around the second stitch. So you can yarn over and then insert your hook from front to back and then back to front, placing the post of that center stitch on your hook, and then just work a double crochet stitch around the post. So we have chain 3, front post double crochet, and now in this last double crochet stitch here, we're going to work just a normal double crochet into the top of it. So now we have a chain 3, a front post double crochet, and a regular double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1, and then this next part here we're going to be working a double crochet stitch, but we're going to be working it in the starting chain and not in the chain from the previous row. So you're going to chain 1, skip 1, and in that center chain of the 3 chains that are empty in the starting chain is where you're going to insert your hook into that back bump. Yarn over and pull up a loop. You're going to be working around that chain 3. You'll want to pull your loop up a little bit higher than normal so it has enough height that it doesn't tug anything. So you can see I pulled it up a little bit higher, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So it's just a normal double crochet, but we're working it into the starting chain, not in the chain from the previous row. Now you can chain 1, skip the next chain, and now we're at the next set of 3 stitches. And we're going to work a double crochet in the first one, and then a front post double crochet in the center one, and then a double crochet in the last one. And this is what we're going to be repeating across the row. So again, chain 1, skip 1, and in that center chain from the starting chain, you're going to insert your hook into that back bump, work your double crochet stitch, make sure you're pulling up the height of that loop so that it doesn't tug or pull. You also don't want it to be too loose because you don't want your stitches to be loose and wonky, so make sure you just give a little bit of slack there. Chain 1, skip 1, and just repeat across. So we're at the end of the row here. I've just done my final chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the starting chain, chain 1, skip 1, and we're going to work a double crochet into this first stitch, and then a front post double crochet into that center one. And then we're going to finish the row with a double crochet into the top of that starting chain, because remember that chain at the beginning of the previous row counts as a stitch. So you're just going to work your final stitch into the top of it. And your stitch count is going to stay the same throughout. So if you have the written pattern pulled up, you can just make sure that your stitch count is correct. And these chains do count. They do go towards your stitch count. So the chain 1 spaces within the row, you can count as a stitch. So now we're going to chain 5 and turn our work to begin row 3. The chain 5 counts as 1 double crochet plus 2 chains. So we have a double crochet and 2 chains. We're going to skip over the next 2 stitches. And now in that very first chain 1 space, you're just going to work a double crochet into it. So you don't have to work it into the actual chain, just into the space. And then work a double crochet into the top of that center double crochet, and a third double crochet into that second chain 1 space. So just 3 double crochet there, and then we're going to chain 3, skip these 3 double crochet, and then do the same thing here. We're going to work a double crochet into the chain 1 space, a double crochet into the top of that center stitch, and then a third double crochet into that chain 1 space. And you can just continue repeating this across the row. Chain 3, skip 3, 3 double crochet, repeat. all the way to the end, and I'll show you how to finish it off. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the row here. We have 3 stitches remaining. You're just going to chain 2, skip over the 2 stitches, and in the final stitch you're going to finish with a double crochet. So the final stitch is the top of the chain 3, so just locate the top of that chain and then insert your hook and work a double crochet into it. And that completes row 3. So now we're going to begin row 4. You can go ahead and chain 3. Again, this counts as a double crochet stitch. And this is going to be our puff stitch row. So we're going to work a puff stitch into the very next chain. So these ones you'll want to work them into the actual chain stitch and not the space so that they hold together well. So you can yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, and then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain again, yarn over, pull up a loop, then one more time, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you'll want to yarn over and pull through all of the loops except the last one. So leave that last loop on your hook. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 to close the little puff. So that is 1 stitch right there. So we have our chain 3, which is 1 stitch, and then up the puff, which is 1 stitch. Now you're going to chain 1 and skip that next chain. And we're going to work a double crochet into the following stitch. So that first one of the set of 3. And then yarn over, work a front post double crochet into that middle stitch. And then work your 3rd double crochet into that last stitch. So now we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and then we're going to work a puff into that center chain. So I'll show you that again. Yarn over, insert your hook into the center chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops except the very last one on your hook. And then yarn over, pull through 2 to close the puff. So we have a chain 1, a puff, and then we're going to chain 1 again and skip the next stitch. So we're skipping over that chain. And then we're going to do the same thing, double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet. And then you can just continue to repeat this all the way across the row. So chain 1, puff, chain 1, double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet. Repeat across, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so now we're coming up to the end of row 4, and I have 3 stitches remaining. So we have that chain 5, which counted as a double crochet plus the 2 chains, so 3 stitches. We're going to chain 1, skip the first chain there, so we're skipping over it, and then in the next one we're going to work our final puff stitch. So chain 1, skip 1, work a puff in the next, and then finish the row with a double crochet into that 3rd chain of the 5. So just yarn over, and in that top of that chain 3 that we have left, just work your final double crochet stitch. And that completes row 4. Again, the chain 1s count as a stitch in here, the puffs count as a stitch, the double crochets count as a stitch. Your stitch count should be staying the same throughout. So now we can go ahead and begin row 5. So chain 3, this does count as a double crochet. Turn your work, and we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, so the top of the puff. And then we're going to work another double crochet stitch into the chain 1 space directly after the puff. Okay, and then you can chain 3 and skip over the next 3 stitches. And then in the next chain 1 space, work a double crochet, and then work a double crochet into the top of the puff stitch, and then work a third double crochet into the next chain 1 space right after the puff stitch. And then you're just going to repeat that across the row. So chain 3, skip over the next 3 stitches, and then work a double crochet in the chain space, a double crochet in the puff, and a double crochet in the chain space, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the row here. I've done my chain 3. I'm skipping over those 3 stitches. I'm going to work a double crochet into the chain space, a double crochet into the top of that last puff, and then finish the row with a double crochet into the top of the chain 3. So now we're beginning row 6. You can chain 3. This does count as a double crochet. And now we're going to work a front post double crochet around that center stitch from the row below. So again, yarn over and you just insert your hook in between the stitches, placing the post of that stitch on top and working a front post double crochet, and then a double crochet into the top of the next stitch. And then you're going to chain 1, skip 1, and this is just like row 2, except now we're working into the top of the stitch from 2 rows below instead of the starting chain. So just work your double crochet into that center stitch from 2 rows below. You're working around the chain 3 from the previous row, and then chain 1, skip 1, and then work your double crochet, your front post double crochet, and your double crochet. So exactly the same as row 2, except now we're just working into the top of a row instead of the top of the starting chain. And then you're just going to repeat that across. So chain 1, skip 1, work your long double crochet 2 rows below, chain 1, skip 1, work your double crochet, your front post double crochet, and your double crochet. Repeat across. I've done my last chain 1 and my skip 1. Now I'm going to finish with my double crochet, my front post, and then I'm going to finish the row with 1 double crochet into the last stitch, which is the top of the chain 3. So now we have 6 rows complete here, and we're going to be repeating rows 3 through 6 throughout the remainder of the back panel. So we have our first 2 rows to set us up, and then rows 3, 4, 5, and 6. So row 3 here, row 4, which is the puff row, row 5, and then row 6. You just repeat over and over again throughout the rest of the back panel. So depending on what size you're making and the length that you want on your cardigan, you're just going to keep repeating these. Make sure you have that written pattern pulled up so you can see how many rows you need for your size. And then I will meet you back here once our back panel is complete. Okay, so here is our back panel. I've just continued to repeat the rows until I have the correct amount for my size. And you can just go ahead and fasten off. And now we need to go back and work 2 front panels. So the front panels start off exactly the same way with establishing those first 6 rows, just like we did for the back panel. And then you will repeat rows 3 through 6 again, just like the back panel, but you're just not working as many rows because we do need to do some shaping of the neckline. So I have my first front panel here. I'm going to show you guys the right front panel first. Again, they are going to be different. You'll have a right and a left with different instructions. The beginning part of it here starts off the same. So you'll do your starting chain. You'll just have a less amount of chains compared to your back panel. And then you'll work up those first 6 rows and then repeat the rows 3 through 6 like normal. and then you will stop at a certain number of rows, and it will be a puff stitch row that you stop on. And then we're going to be doing the shaping. So you can go ahead and rewatch the beginning of the video if you need to remember how to start off anything. And then I will meet you back here once you get to the section that says that we'll begin the neckline shaping. Okay, I'm in the first decrease row, right where we're beginning the neckline shaping. I'm going to slip stitch in that very first stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch in the second stitch, slip stitch into the third, and then one more slip stitch into the fourth. And now we're going to set up the start of the row. So we have 4 slip stitches, and then we're going to chain 5. And this chain 5 does count as a double crochet in 2 chains. So we've decreased this row by 3 stitches because in that 4th slip stitch we did our chain 5, which does count. And now you're going to skip over 2 and work a double crochet into that next chain space, a double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and a double crochet into that following chain space. So now we're just back into our normal stitch repeat. So you can chain 3, skip 3, and then work 3 double crochet. And you're just going to keep repeating this across the row, just like you normally would in any of the other rows like this one. So chain 3, skip 3, 3 double crochet, repeat to the end. And you'll finish the row just like normal, finish with your 3 double crochet, and then chain 3 and turn. So this is our second row in the shaping section. And it's just like repeating, doing a row 6 repeat. So the one where we work a double crochet 2 rows below. So you begin with your chain 3, work a front post, work a normal double, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet 2 rows below, repeat across. So just work it as you normally would until 3 stitches remain. I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to finish it. So once you get to the end here with our 3 stitches remaining, you're going to chain 1, skip 1, and then work a double crochet into that next stitch from 2 rows below, working around the chain from the previous row, and then finally finish with a double crochet into that 3rd chain of the chain 5. So very similar to what it would normally be, except since we decreased those 3 stitches, we just end slightly different. That's the only difference. So we've still only decreased by 3 stitches, not in this row, but from the previous one. So your stitch count will still be 3 stitches less. And now we have 2 more decrease rows that I'm going to teach you, and then we're just going to repeat these 4 rows over and over. So for our next row, you can go ahead and turn your work, and you're again going to slip stitch into the first 4 stitches. So slip stitch into the first one, the second, and the third. And then slip stitch over one more time for a total of 4 slip stitches. So now we're going to begin the normal stitches of the row. You can chain 5. So chaining 3 counts as our double crochet. So here's the first 3 chains. This counts as our first double crochet stitch. So we've decreased by 3 stitches, working those slip stitches over, but then this first set of 3 counts as a double crochet, and then you can chain 2 more, and that counts as our 2 chains. So chain 5 total, skip the next 2 stitches, work a double crochet in the next chain space, a double crochet into the top of that center double crochet, and then a double crochet into the following chain space. Now you can chain 3, skip over the next 3 stitches, and again work your 3 double crochet. So we're right back in to our normal stitch repeat. And you can just repeat this across the row, chain 3, skip 3, 3 double crochet, repeat, and I will meet you at the end. So we're finishing the row just like normal, chain 2, skip 2, 1 double crochet in your final stitch. Now I'm going to show you the final shaping row here. So for this next one, you're just going to chain 3, which counts as your double crochet, and do your normal puff stitch row just like you normally would. So work a puff into the first chain there. And then you can chain 1, skip 1, and then work your double crochet, your front post double crochet, and your double crochet. So this is just like any of the other puff rows. So starting off the same, repeat across like normal, chain 1, puff, chain 1, double crochet, front post double crochet, and I will meet you at the end of the row when we have 3 stitches remaining. So we're at the end here. We have 3 stitches left, and I'm going to chain 1, skip the next chain, and then in the chain right after that, work our final puff. And then we're going to finish the row with our last double crochet into that 3rd chain of the chain 5. So now these 4 rows that I showed you are what you're going to repeat for the remainder of the shaping rows. So this will be the same for all of the sizes. You're going to repeat the previous 4 rows 2 more times. So you will work the 4 rows again and then work the 4 rows a second time to finish off the shaping. So for the next 8 rows, you're just going to be repeating these last 4 that I showed you. So for the next one, you'll do the same thing that you did at the beginning of the shaping rows. You'll slip stitch over 4 times, and then you'll chain 5, which counts as your double crochet in your chain 2. Skip the next 2 stitches, and then work your double crochet in the chain space, your double crochet in the stitch, and your double crochet in the chain space. Just repeating what I've showed you. So if you need to, you can go back and rewatch these 4 rows. And again, repeat them twice, and I will meet you at the end when we have 2 more rows to do. I'll show you how to complete the first front panel. Okay, so I have repeated my shaping rows 2 more times, and now we just have 2 rows remaining to finish the front panel, and this next row is just a row 5 repeat. It'll be the same for all the sizes. So the row 5 is just chain 3, which counts as your double crochet in the next stitch, and double crochet in the chain space, and then chain 3, skip 3, and then work your 3 double crochets. So just like you have normally been doing. There's no more decreasing here. And we're going to stay the same stitch count as the previous row now. So no more shaping, we're just adding a couple more rows. Work your way across to the end, repeating like normal, and then we have finished the row with our 3 double crochet, and we have 1 final row. And this one is just going to be a row 6 repeat. So now for row 6, you're just going to chain 3, work your front post double crochet around the next stitch, work a double crochet into the following stitch, and then chain 1, skip 1, work your double crochet into the top of the stitch 2 rows below, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet. You guys should be so used to this now, just a normal repeat, no more decreasing. We're just going to work our way to the end of the row here to finish off. Okay, so that completes the right front panel. It's the right panel when you're wearing the cardigan. You can go ahead and fasten off and just leave a tail long enough to sew this last row made to your back panel later on. So once you have the front panel made, you need to go back and make the left front panel. It is made differently than the right. And I already have my left panel made. You can see it here on the left hand side of the screen. So I am going to just use this smaller swatch to show you guys how to do the decrease rows. So ignore the amount of rows that I have made on the right hand side. You'll obviously have more than that. I'm just showing you on a small swatch here. So I'll show you the first 4 rows just like I did previously, and then you'll repeat those 4 rows 2 more times. And then I will show you the last 2 rows of the panel. So again, it starts off the same way, and then when you get to this section in the left front panel of the pattern where it says that we begin the neckline shaping, that is what this first row is. So this is our first decrease row. You can begin by chaining 3, which does count as a double crochet. And this is just like a row 5 repeat. So you'll remember row 5, it's the row that you always make after the puff row. So you're going to do it exactly the same, working your normal stitch repeats, the 3 double crochet and then the chain 3, skip 3. And just repeat that across, and then I will meet you at the end of the row when we have 6 stitches remaining, and I'll show you how to do the first decrease. So I'll meet you right here after the second to last puff. So I have 3 double crochet, my last one made in the chain space right after the puff. Now I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, and then work a double crochet in the next stitch. This leaves our last 3 stitches of the previous row unworked. So you still have a chain, space, a puff, and your double crochet. You're just going to leave those unworked and turn your work. So we've decreased by 3 stitches now. So now we're going to begin the second shaping row. And you can begin by chaining 3. So that does count as a double crochet. And then you're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch 2 rows below. So you're just working your long double crochet that we do. So we've chained 3, double crochet from 2 rows below, chain 1, skip 1. And then work your double crochet, your front post double crochet, and your double crochet. So now we're just right back in to our normal stitch repeat. So this would be as if you are working a row 6 repeat now. So we've already done that beginning part, which is just slightly different than normal. And now you can just go right back into your normal stitch repeat as if it was a row 6. So go ahead and work your way to the end of this second shaping row. Okay, so I've worked my way to the end. We finished with just our double crochet in the top of the chain 3, and you can turn your work. So now you can chain 5, which counts as our double crochet and our 2 chains. Skip over the next 2 stitches, work a double crochet in the first chain space, a double crochet in the next stitch, and a double crochet into the next chain space. And just keep going with our normal stitch repeat. So chain 3, skip 3, 3 double crochet, repeat across until you have 6 stitches remaining, and then I will show you how to complete this third shaping row. Okay, so now we're at the end of the third shaping row. I have 6 stitches left. I'm going to chain 2, skip the next 2 stitches, and then work a double crochet into the next one. And that completes this row. We're going to leave those remaining 3 stitches unworked, and now we have again decreased by 3 stitches. So now this next row, you can turn your work and chain 3. This does count as our first double crochet. We are not decreasing in this row, so our stitch count here will stay the same as the previous one. And then you can go ahead and work your puff stitch into that very first chain stitch. So just a puff like normal, and then chain 1 and skip 1. And then we'll work a double crochet into the next, a front post double crochet, and then a normal double crochet into that third stitch. And then you can just repeat normally across the row. So chain 1, skip 1, 1 puff, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet, 1 front post double crochet, 1 double crochet, and repeat to the end of the row. Okay, I just completed the row. We finished with our last double crochet into that third chain of the starting chain. So these 4 rows that I just showed you are the decrease rows for this left front panel. So you can go ahead and repeat these last 4 rows 2 more times. So a total of 3 sets of these 4 rows, just like you did on the first front panel. Okay, so now I have repeated all those rows 2 more times, and now we're coming up on the last 2 rows of the panel. And just like we did on the right front panel, we're going to repeat row 5 here. So we're on our second to last row, which is just a row 5 repeat. So you can do your chain 3 and your 2 more double crochet, and do your chain 3, skip 3, and then work your 3 double crochet and just repeat to the end. So you are no longer decreasing here. You'll work all the way to the end of the row. And finally, we will end with a row 6 repeat for our final row. So you can just chain 3 and turn your work. That counts as our double crochet. And then you'll just work your front post double crochet into the next stitch and a double crochet into the following stitch. And then you'll chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet in the center stitch from 2 rows below, chain 1, skip 1. And just repeat these stitches as normal all the way to the end, just like you would on any other row 6 repeat. Go ahead and fasten off, leave a tail long enough to sew this last row to your back panel later on, and now we will be making the sleeve panels. Okay, so I have my first few rows here already made of my first sleeve panel. So you can see I have 6 rows, and this is just like our back panel and our front panel, starting off the exact same way and repeating rows 1 through 6 of that back panel. The only difference is your starting chain. It will have a different chain amount, just like your front panel had a different chain amount compared to your back panel. This sleeve one will also have a different amount, so make sure you check that for whatever size you're making, and then just work up rows 1 through 6 of the back panel to create the first few rows of the sleeve. So now we only have 1 row remaining, and I'm going to show you how to do that one. So this is row 7, and we're going to chain 2 and turn our work, and we're just going to be working half double crochet stitches and picot stitches. So in that very first stitch, work your first half double crochet and a half double crochet into the next. So the chain 2 does not count as a stitch here. So you're going to work a half double crochet into these first few stitches, 1 more into the chain space here. So we have 4 half double crochet. And now on our long double crochet where we worked 2 rows below, you're going to single crochet into it. And then you can go ahead and chain 3. And then you're just going to slip stitch back into the base of the single crochet that you just made to make your picot. So if you prefer to do your picots a different way, there's a few different ways out there to do it. It doesn't matter, just you can adjust if you want to, and then work a half double crochet into the next chain space and continue across with 4 more half double crochet. So we worked our picot. Now we're working 5 half double crochet total. And then we're going to do another picot. So you really don't even need to count your stitches here or anything. You'll know that each time you get to the long double crochets that are worked from 2 rows below, that's where we're working our picot stitches. So once you reach that one, work a single crochet into it, chain 3, slip stitch back into the base of the single crochet that you made, creating your picot stitch, and then just go right back into the half double crochet stitches. So you're just going to repeat that all the way across. And here we are at the end. I've finished with 4 half double crochet. We worked our last picot, worked 1 half double crochet in each of those remaining stitches. And then you can just fasten off a long enough tail to sew up the side of your sleeve there, as well as down the side of your cardigan. So this one you'll want a little bit longer because we're going to keep it attached and use the same strand for seaming down the side of our cardigan as well. So after you do this first one, you need to go back and make a second one the exact same way. So now that we have all 5 panels completed, we need to start sewing them together. So you're going to take your back panel and your 2 front panels and place them right sides facing. So I have the right side of my cardigan as row 2. When I'm looking at row 2 correctly, that is the right side. It really doesn't matter which side you want to be the right or wrong. If you prefer for row 1 to be the right side, you can do that. I wanted it so that the front posts where we made of the cardigan, that the textured post side bumps out. And I wanted that to be the side that is seen for the right side of the cardigan. But if you want to do it the other way, it's personal preference. It really doesn't matter for this design. Whichever side you think looks best and what you like best is what you can choose. So once you have the right sides facing, we're just going to seam the front panels to the back panel. We're going to use the tail of yarn and our needle, and then I'm just going to use the mattress stitch and begin sewing across. So you can use whatever preferred method that you have, whichever way you normally do your seaming or whatever way you prefer to do it is totally fine. It's not going to affect the pattern in any way. So I'm just going to use my needle and go back and forth from the inside to the outside of each stitch, lining them up correctly and making sure that I'm not skipping or bunching any stitches. And I'm just going to sew across all through each stitch of that last row of the front panel. And then once I have this first side done, I'm going to go to the other side and sew the last row of that front panel to the back panel as well. Okay, so now we have our cardigan sewn at the shoulders, and we're going to join in our sleeves and do the same thing there. So I just have my back panel and front panel laying here, and I'm going to take the sleeve and place it flush against the back and the front panel. You can see my shoulder seam that we just did is lined up with the center of the sleeve. And so that the amount of stitches on either side are even. So basically you just want to make sure that half of the sleeve is lined up with the back panel and half with the front. That way it's even when we sew it. And then you can just hold it in place with stitch markers. Make sure that your panels are nice and flat when you're joining in those stitch markers, and that your sleeve isn't bunched or curved at all. And then just join in with those stitch markers. And then you're going to sew the sleeve to your cardigan in the exact same way that we sewed the shoulders together. This time there is no stitch that you're working into on the side of the front and back panel. So you're just going to be working your needle through the ends of the rows of those panel, but you're going to be just doing it in the same way, working back and forth with your needle from one end all the way to the other end of the sleeve. And then once you have this one joined in, you can do the same thing on the other side with your second sleeve. So once you have both sleeves attached, you can fold your cardigan together, right sides facing still. And now you can sew from the outer edge of your sleeve where the picot stitches are. You can use that tail of yarn and sew to the underarm, and then from the underarm down the side to the bottom of the hem, and do it on both sides. Finally, once we have everything sewn together, we just need to add the trim of the cardigan. So now I have my cardigan right side out. So I folded it so now that my seams are hidden on the inside, and we're going to take a new piece of yarn and join into the bottom left-hand corner here with a slip stitch. And we're going to be working single crochet stitches up the side, along the back neckline, and down the other side of that second front panel. So take your hook and just insert it into the very corner of your front panel with a slip stitch. And then go ahead and chain one, and then in that same spot where you joined in, you're going to work a single crochet stitch. And now we're just going to be working our single crochet stitches up this first side. So your exact stitch count does not matter here. The only thing that you need to make sure of is that you end with an odd number of stitches. But if you find that you need a couple more than what I use or a couple less, you can totally adjust that. You'll just want to make sure that you're ending with an odd count for our future rows. But I found that I used just about 2 single crochet stitches per row of the panel. So you can see as I'm working into the sides of the front panel here, I work about 2 stitches for each row into the end of it. And I'm just working around the chains or around the double crochets. I'm not putting my hook through the stitches at all. I'm just working around the entire thing and doing approximately 2 stitches per row. But again, if you need to adjust slightly, you can. You just want to make sure you're not using too many stitches because your cardigan could become wavy. And if you do too little, it could be a little taut. But I found that 2 stitches worked great. So you're going to work up this first straight edge here, and then I will show you how to do the decrease rows. It's very simple. So when you get to the first decrease row, so that'll be where we either slip stitched over or where we left 3 stitches unworked, you're just going to work 1 single crochet into each of those 3. So I worked a single crochet into the corner, and then a single crochet into that second one, and a single crochet into the third. So you can see I'm just working it into the top of the puff and into that chain 1 space, and then now we're at the 2 rows that are even. So now I'm going to work about 2 single crochet for each of those rows, so 4 total up that straight edge. And then when I get to this second decrease part, I'll again work a single crochet into the slip stitches and the ones left unworked. So just depending on which side of the cardigan you're at, while you're working this trim, you'll do the same thing on both sides, 1 single crochet into each of those 3. So it's still going to be wavy at first, but as we continue on with the edging and add more rows, it's going to straighten out to create our V-neck. So don't worry if your panel still has the wave-like effect. You can see here it's just a little bit, but you can already tell it's straightening out quite a bit with just that first row. So you're going to work all the way around to the other side. I'm back at the second corner, so I'm down at the second corner now of the other front panel. And now I'm just going to turn my work and begin row 2. Again, the stitch count did not matter for that one, just make sure you have an odd number. So for row 2, we're going to start off with a chain 4. That counts as a double crochet and a chain 1 space. So we're going to skip the next stitch and work a double crochet in the following, and then chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet, and we're just going to do this all the way across the row, working them into the single crochet stitches. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet all the way back to the other side. Okay, I've made my way back to the other side here, finished with my chain 1, skip 1, and 1 double crochet into the final stitch. So that's the first single crochet that we made. Now we're going to begin row 3. So for that, you can chain 3 and turn your work. And now for this row, we're going to be making little mini puffs, just like we did for the main panels, except we're just not doing as many yarn over and pull through. So they're the same type of puff, but we're just going to make them a bit smaller for the edging here. So in that very first chain, yarn over and insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up loop, yarn over, pull through all of them but the last one, yarn over, pull through 2, and then just chain 1, skip 1. So exactly the same as the other puff, but we're doing 1 less yarn over and inserting our hook than normal. That way it's a bit of a smaller puff for the front of our cardigan here. So you'll do the mini puff, chain 1, skip 1, mini puff, all the way back to the other end of the row. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the row here. I've done my last chain 1 and skip 1, and we have our chain 4 left. So after you skip that last or that next stitch, you're going to work your final puff into the top of the chain 4. And then you'll finish with your last double crochet into that third chain of the chain 4. So we did our mini puff in the fourth one, and now finish with our double crochet into that third one. So that completes this row, row 3. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now you're just going to work a single crochet stitch into each stitch and chain space across. So the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so you can start with a single crochet in that very first one, and then just work single crochet stitches into the top of the puff stitches and 1 into each of the chain spaces as well. So just work all the way to the end of the row. Once you get to the end of the row, you can go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work, and now we are beginning row 5. For row 5, you can just work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way back across. When you get to the end, you can chain 1 again and turn your work. Now we're starting row 6, and this is where we are going to be adding our stitch markers for our buttons, and that way we can create the buttonholes. So I am going to show you how to place those really quick. So I've already started my row 6. I've worked part of the ways across. You can mark off your buttonholes before you begin if you want. So you're just going to take some stitch markers, and you're basically just going to decide on where you want your buttonholes to be. I recommend starting with the bottom buttonhole, and you'll want to leave at least 3 single crochet at the very bottom before you create your first buttonhole. So I have 3 single crochet, and in that 4th stitch I'm going to place a stitch marker, and then in the 5th stitch as well. So once we get to that side, we know that the 2 stitches that have the stitch markers in it, we're going to be chaining 2 and skipping 2 and working into the stitch after. So each buttonhole is a chain 2, skip 2 space. And we're going to have 3 buttons. So after you get this first button placement, you can locate where you want your 2nd and your 3rd. I put my 3rd button right about at the same point as the first decrease row. So right where we started decreasing on the left and right panels and we took away that puff stitch there, that's where I'm going to have my top button. So it doesn't have to be specific. You can kind of just put them wherever you want. If you want 2 buttons instead of 3, or if you want 4, it's totally fine. Just make your adjustments how you want it. I've just aligned my stitch marker up with that first decrease row and placed a stitch marker, and then I'm going to place a 2nd one just below it. And then now I'm going to count the amount of stitches that I have in between these 2 sets of stitch markers. That way I can evenly place my 3rd button. So I had 28 single crochet in between. So 28 minus 2 is 26, and then divide that by 2. So 13 stitches on either end. So I counted out 13 stitches from the top stitch marker, and I placed my middle stitch marker for my middle button, and then I'm taking 1 more stitch marker and placing it in the stitch right after that as well. That way I have 13 stitches above and 13 stitches below my middle button. Yours might be a different amount just depending on how many stitches you have on that side. So once you work around to that first set of stitch markers, you can go ahead and remove those first 2, and then you're just going to chain 2 and skip 2 and then work a single crochet into the following, and that creates our first buttonhole. And then you're just going to do the same thing with those other 2 sets of stitch markers as well. Again, your stitch count here does not matter. You can place the buttons wherever you want, and just make sure that the middle one is even in between the top and the bottom button. So work all the way to the end and then finish with a single crochet in the last stitch, and we have 3 buttonholes now, and we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then begin working single crochet stitches back up and around again. So I accidentally deleted this portion of the video where I showed my cute little picot details within the buttonhole, but I'm going to explain that here. You can either work a normal 2 single crochets here, or you can work 2 picots. So you're just going to work, when you get to the buttonhole, you can single crochet into it and then do your normal picot like we did at the ends of the sleeves, which is chain 3 and slip stitch into the base of the picot. And then you can do it for a 2nd time. So here's the after of what that looks like. I just accidentally got that video deleted, so I just worked single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch twice into each buttonhole. If you don't like the little double picot details, you can just work 2 single crochet into each buttonhole instead. So once we finish this row, we're going to leave our yarn fastened. Don't fasten off and don't turn your work. Now we're going to just be working stitches along the bottom of the cardigan here to finish off. So I'm going to be working 2 more single crochet into the same stitch as the last single crochet made in row 7. And that way it just helps us turn the corner a little bit and keeps our cardigan flat in the corner so it doesn't fold up. And now you're just going to work single crochet stitches evenly along the bottom here into the sides of those edging rows. So a single crochet into each of the end of the single crochet rows, and then about 2 single crochet at the end of the puff row and 2 single crochet into the end of the chain 1 skip 1 row. And then when you reach the bottom of the front panel, we now have our chains to work into. So I worked into the actual chain when it was a stitch that was already worked into it. So anytime I had a double crochet stitch, I'll work into those chains. But then in the spots where we skipped over, I just worked into the chain space. So you can see I worked in the chain space here, and then into the chain, and then again into the chain space. And now in the set of 3 double crochet here, I'm just working into the actual chain. You can do it however you want though, whichever way you are more comfortable with. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you work 1 single crochet into each of those chains all the way to the end. And now we've reached the second corner, and we're just going to finish with 2 single crochet into the same stitch that our first single crochet of that last trim row was in to finish off, and you can fasten off your work. Now you need to sew on your 3 buttons here. So if you don't know how to sew on buttons, there's lots of great video tutorials available on YouTube. So you can look that up if you need assistance, but all you're going to do is have your cardigan right side out, and then you will want to lay it nice and flat and line up the placement of the buttons to the placement of the buttonholes. And then you're just going to use your yarn or whatever thread you want and your needle and sew them in place. After that, you can just weave in your ends, and that is it for this design. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next tutorial.